Alright, so I don't know what's going on with the microphone, but I'm gonna have to hold it like this, I think. Okay. Can you hear me now? Is this good? I don't know. Should be live. The hell? We should be. Why are we not live? Are we live? Ugh. I don't know. Am I live? Is it up? It's not coming up for me. I don't know if it's up or not. Oh well. This is a failed live stream. What else is new? Okay, it looks like we're live. I don't know. Okay. I guess it's back. Alright. I don't know what the hell happened there. I tried like resetting the mic and it didn't work, so I don't know. Sorry about that. Anyway, we're back. So I mean, for everybody that was here before, I went into depth about I went into some detail on the changes that we're going to be making. I don't feel like repeating myself, so should be alright though. Just know changes are coming. But yeah, I'll take some questions if you guys have questions. I saw somebody mention the backdrop. Yeah, this is my living room. I don't know what the hell. Oh, okay, that was that one. Alright. But yeah, that's one of my plant things. So a bunch of different plants. So let's see. Any ideas on beating BBA? Well, BBA is normally caused by high organics in the water or CO2 fluctuations. So if you were to kind of do lots of water changes, that will help decrease the organics in the water. If you have CO2, adjust your CO2 levels. And and then the other thing is you could use hydrogen peroxide or Excel to spot treat the BBA and kill it. But you still have to find the underlying cause. And if you get rid of the exercise bike, you could fit some tanks in there. Yeah. Well, now, you see, I actually got rid of the other tank that was in the dining room in front of me because I don't have time to take care of so many tanks. So I've limited myself to only the 6 that are in the back, right? 6? Yeah, only the 6 that are in the back room. And I will not be getting any other ones in the rest of the house just because any of the tanks that I've had out of either the basement or the back room have gone to complete hell. So they're harder to take care of. They're not in my everyday like peripherals, and they get neglected. So I oppose this rule on myself. No more tanks in the rest of the house. Only in the downstairs or the back room. Even the tanks in the back room I haven't touched since Aquatic Experience, and that was in October. So all I've been doing is filling them up when they're running low from evaporation. Oh, if you guys want to see another plant too, let me I'm gonna show you guys. That's my tree. Oh, and my Christmas tree, but that's my tree. And up top here, we got banana somewhere. Okay, that's an orchid cactus right there. That's a banana plant. Or banana tree, I should say. And yeah. Yeah, AZ, it's most likely CO2 fluctuations and or high organics. So if you have a lot of driftwood, a lot of fish waste, it could be being caused by that. What is your favorite light for a 75-gallon tank? Well, favorite light or is it like a favorite light asterisk not over this price? Because my favorite, if I was to buy a new light for the 75-gallon tank that I have downstairs, I do an SB Reef light, which is a lot of money. It's not that much, but you would need 2 SB Reef lights that I think are the 18 inches, something like that, or the 32 inch. I forget. It would be like $400 or $500, and that's what I would get. Do you have a source for small terrarium plants? Well, here's the thing. If you're going to do terrariums, and if it's going to be a either sealed or very humid terrarium, just do aquarium plants. The terrarium that Serpa Design set up for me, and actually, it's a little bit of a mess because we have all the Christmas decorations coming in. But on the table, and there's the dogs, on the table over there is the thing that he did for me. And that is made of all aquarium plants, and it's been doing great. They stay small, they don't get too big, and they just work in humid environments. So have you ever had a fiddle leaf fig houseplant? Yeah, that was this fig tree right there. That's a fiddle leaf fig. And then I also have one upstairs as well. The whole reason why I'm shooting or doing this live stream in my living room is because the back room has a bunch of stuff out right now that I'm making Nova something for Christmas. And I got my desk is full of all these little things that I'm putting together. And I was like, I don't feel like cleaning this right now, so I'm going to do it from the living room. Plus everybody's upstairs, so the living room is free. Walter, knock it off. So yeah, let's do you have a dosing schedule? Ferts, potassium, iron, etc. We do like dosing. I think every 2 or 3 days. Jake normally takes care of that. He really maintains all the tanks downstairs. The tanks up here, I'll dose when I remember the vital. I'll squirt a couple pumps into each tank, and that'll be enough. These dogs are really acting up over there. Hey, Walter! If you could only keep one aquarium plant, and it was between Anubis or Java Fern, what would you pick? I would pick Anubis. I like it much more. It looks better. And, yeah. Critter Cousin says, how do you suggest I get rid of the last bit of fungus on some fish? I've dosed several times. The last bit, the fish won't seem to give up. I would just keep dosing the medication, use as directed. I'm not too good at treating fish, but I do know, like, you know, just follow the directions. Typically, if you follow the directions and do what it says, can't really go wrong. I never had luck with Java Fern. It will do good for 2 weeks, then just turns brown and die out. Well, what it is a lot of the Java Fern that's sold, even the ones that we sell, are grown above the water or in very humid environments. They're not grown submerged. So we submerge them. They start to melt back a little bit. They grow new leaves or whatever. But a lot of the existing leaves were grown above the water, even once we start to convert them. So what happens is when you put that plant in your tank, a lot of the leaves are going to melt back. As long as the rhizome still stays alive, it should still come back. What's up, B Matty? Yeah, sorry, I don't know what the hell happened. Technical difficulties. I'm having a new algae problem. It appears to be green dust, not spot, and it's growing on plants as well as the glass. Do you have any inputs or suggestions for dealing with this kind of algae? Yeah, the green dust, that's actually one of the easier ones to deal with. Nerite snail. You put one of those in there, he'll eat all the algae up. Grab yourself a nerite snail, 100%. The other thing is you could dose a little Excel in the water. That'll clear it up. It may come back, but you'll have to try and figure out what's causing it. It may be too much light is normally caused, like either the light's too close or it's just too much light or on for too long. Those could all be kind of things that are affecting it. I have 2 of the laziest nerites in the world. No, you're probably feeding too much, and the nerites don't want to eat anything other than the food you're feeding them. So the trick is, starve the tank for a couple days. I don't feed every day. I feed once every 2 or 3 days. I don't feed every day. I have 4 nerites, but it's a 40 breeder. Guessing some rookie numbers and need to be pumped up. No, 4 nerites should be plenty. You're probably just feeding them too much, like I mentioned to Lowlife's comment. When you feed the tank and maybe you're overfeeding the fish that are in the tank, you're putting a lot of food in the water. When it comes down to it, the snail is going to much rather eat the food than the algae. The algae is going to taste better, or the food's going to taste better. It's going to have more nutrients. They're going to go after that. What would be your favorite snail to start a colony on a freshwater tank? I would do Malaysian trumpet snails, although people tend to not like them because they grow, or they reproduce like rabbits, but they are very beneficial to planted aquariums. They reproduce like crazy. They help turn over the substrate. I need to pressurize CO2 and it's starting to use it. Is there anything I need to watch for? Just bubbles per second. Don't overdo it. Less is more when it comes to CO2. You don't need to go crazy. At least when you're starting out. Get a feel for it before you start turning it up. I feed too much, I admit that. The fish don't get more than they can eat within a minute or 2. I make sure it's eaten in a very short amount of time. You may still be overfeeding a little bit. I would try maybe cut it down if you're feeding every day to every other day and see what happens. What's the smallest tank you have ever planted? Well, the smallest aquarium has been the 7-gallon. I also planted the carnivorous pond, but that's actually not doing too well. It dried out when I was sick a couple weeks ago, and a lot of the plants died, so I have to redo that. I just haven't had time. And then I have another... sorry. Another thing that I'm working on. Sassafras snails are super fun. They can be, yeah, but you gotta make sure they're well fed. I get green algae on the manzanita, mostly just brush it off with an old toothbrush during weekly water changes. Yeah, a nerite snail will do the same thing though. What's up, Lewis? I did notice my plants eat a lot of phosphates. I dose to 5 parts per million, front loading on water change day, and by next water change day, it's around 5.5 or 0.5 parts per million. Wow, that's a big intake, yeah. What CO2 regulator do you use? I have so I have two CO2 regulators. One was custom made by a local hobbyist that puts them together. I don't know why my nose is so stuffy. The other one that I have, I bought off Amazon. I actually, didn't I linked it in my best gifts to buy video for aquarium hobbyists, or best ideas. Let me, I'll get it for you, hold on. That's the gift. That's the link to the regulator. Have you ever cut down jungle bell to let it regrow? Does it take forever for them to come back? Yeah, you wouldn't ideally cut them like you would mow a lawn. You wouldn't just cut them straight across or down so low that they can't, that the leaves are not going to do anything good for them. You only want to remove leaves that are damaged that are on the outside of the plant versus the inside leaves. And when you do cut them back, you want to cut them as close to the bottom as you can. But you want to make sure you have at least like 2 or 3 good healthy leaves that are growing before you do so. It's muy importante. I have a fluval CO2 kit, but have never used it. I've never actually bought one of those. I wonder if they're any good. When do you trim microsword? So microsword is similar to Val. When you cut the leaf, you're actually damaging it. However, because it's a like rhizome plant, the more you cut the leaves, the more vigorous the new growth will be. So I would just trim microsword whenever it's too tall for your liking, and try not to trim it every day, kind of thing. Like trim it like once every couple weeks, let it regrow, trim it back again, let it regrow, trim it back again, kind of thing. But you could just keep it at the height that you want it to stay at. There's not really a place with the global CO2 kit. It wouldn't be my first choice. What's the global CO2 kit? Wonder what that is. Favorite plant? Favorite house plant or favorite aquarium plant? Because I do have quite a bit. Both. Really like Monstera deliciosa. That's one of my favorite houseplants. It's similar to pothos, but much bigger and cooler. It's actually kind of like an Anubis plant when you really think about it. Favorite aquarium plant? I just can't pick one. Trying to think, I have so many. I would say I like my Anubias. Actually, no, I really like the Bucephalandrid variegated that I got. That's a really nice one. If you were to mow jungle val, would it kill it? It's not gonna kill it, really. I mean, it depends on if it's not doing well. If you hack it down and it's not doing well, good chances are it's not gonna grow back. If it's doing well and you chop all the leaves off, it's already established. It'll put off new leaves. So you really just have to kind of look at it. So the regulator you like to comes with a solenoid. Yeah, it should. Yeah, it has the solenoid in it. It's a dual stage. It works really well. It's only $60. I have one. I've had no problems with it. Later, Madfish Diva. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you too. When's our next live stream? I don't even know when our next live stream is. Today is what, the 12th? So our next live stream will actually be the 26th. So it'll be the day after Christmas. So I hope you have a very nice one. How fast can we get H2O 100 likes? Oh, I appreciate that. Was that Natalie? No, Natalia. Natalia. There you go. Tips and tricks to keep Crypt Pink Flamingo. Good substrate, root tabs, and lots of light. Is Marbled Anubis any harder to care for than, say, Anubis Nana? Slightly. So here's the thing. When you have a variegation in a leaf, especially when it's a white variegation, the white cells in a leaf cannot produce chlorophyll, which is the main chemical, like, it's the main chemical process that feeds the plant nutrients, essentially, or it allows the plant to utilize nutrients, is chlorophyll. So if you have a plant that is more white than green, and this actually has to do with like a houseplant that I have, it's called Monstera deliciosa variegated. It's essentially an above the water Anubis plant. But they're highly sought after in the hobby of the houseplants. They're extremely expensive. And if you ever get a pure white leaf, the white leaf eventually dies just because it cannot produce energy for itself. So when you have these variegated plants like Anubis and Bucephalandrid, you want to hopefully have a leaf that's part green and part white, not fully white. Because if you have a fully white leaf, then it becomes harder for that plant to produce its own energy, and it may eventually die, or that leaf will die. And, you know, the Anubis takes so long to grow leaves anyway, you don't want any leaves to die. So, is it any harder to care for? Not necessarily. It's just, keep that in mind when you have a pure white leaf. That white leaf is eventually going to die, and there's no way that you could prevent it from dying. It's just its natural kind of evolution. That's just what happens. What's up, Aquanoob? Do you have any betas, and if so, what are your favorite plants for them? I do actually. I have one beta. Haven't aired her yet. It's a female beta. I picked her up because I had planned to do a sorority, and that didn't happen. She's just downstairs in one of the 10-gallon tanks, chilling. And what's my favorite plants for them? Well, I have a big Anubis plant in there. She loves some moss. Floaters, they love. You can't go wrong with floaters. The betas love floaters. And anything with a lot of leaves, like Water Sprite Lace is like one of my hands down favorite plants. Like, you could put it in any tank and it would look really nice. I have a spider plant. I think that's variegated. Yeah, a lot of plants have variegations. I have it's called a rubber tree, and what I have is I have a tricolor rubber tree. So what's really interesting about it, it's a rubber tree that is tricolor, which is it has green, white, and pink, and then also you can get some red out of it depending on the lighting. So you have like these nice colors. It reminds me of something, and it reminds me of a candy, like can't remember the name of the candy. It's like a swirled candy that has like those colors. It's just really interesting. It's a very interesting plant, but yeah, a lot of houseplants could be variegated. Yes, Tim says I have water sprite planted and floating, and my beta loves it. That's right. Beta sororities are overrated in my opinion. I tried it for 3 days and couldn't stand how stressed they were. Yeah, that's one thing that I've read up on, that it could be daunting having all the female betas, and I guess it happens. I wanted to do it in one of the tanks, and then I got sidetracked, and it has never crossed my mind again, really. I wanted to do it with wild betas, though. I didn't want to do it with like the store-bought betas. I wanted to actually get like beta splendids and wild betas and do it like that. Do you ever dip plants before putting them into your systems? If so, what do you use? Um, when we get plants in from our nursery, we don't dip them, and I'll go into explanation why. But hold on, I want to bring up something I actually added to the website as a disclaimer because we recently had some people that had some issues with getting snails in their aquarium from our plants, and we don't say we don't have a guarantee saying you're not going to get snails from our plants. We've never said that. Even in our FAQ section of our website, I specified that there is a chance there can be pests, not only snails but algae and other things, because when we have all these aquariums downstairs. I think we have 20 or 30 holding tanks total, somewhere in between that. What do we have? We have 8, 4, so that's 12. We've got another like 8 there. So yeah, we're at about 20 holding tanks. It's very hard to carefully look at every tank and see what's going on in it at any given time. This person complained about snails, and I understand it because when I first got in the hobby, I really disliked snails. Now I don't have a problem with them. They're just part of the aquarium to me. They're part of the ecosystem. They're very beneficial, and I feel bad. I actually picked them out like when we're doing the plants, and we have all the plants laid out, and we started like going through them, and the snails are like knocked off and into the tubs where the plants are sitting in until we pack them up and all the snails are left over. I throw them back in the aquariums because I like the snails. I think they're very beneficial. So like I tell people, if you're worried about snails or you're worried about pests, dip your plants, or do a very thorough inspection of the plants before you put them in your aquarium, because chances are there will be snail eggs. There's always the possibility for things like planaria, hydra. These are all things that are so microscopic that when we're going through the process of taking the plant out of the tank, putting it in a bag, putting it in a box, this isn't something that we can clearly see all the time. Sometimes we catch things, and when we catch them, we either quarantine, we treat, depending on what it is. So like hydra happens. It's just like one of those things. Even a little spore can spread a colony. So when those things arise, we treat the whole tanks. We treat every tank actually. When like I noticed something like we've had detritus worms in the past. When we notice detritus worms, I do every tank, because I don't know if it's just in that one tank or if it's in every tank. So I do a mass treatment in every tank just to get rid of any possibility of it being anywhere else, because who knows. The shipment came from the same supplier maybe, and even though we group the same plants together, so like all the Anubis nanas are all in one tank, and then there's a tank next to it maybe with water spray, who's to say that water spray and that Anubis nana didn't come in contact with each other, and now both tanks have that pest. So we treat every tank when we realize that there's an issue like that. And we only know when people let us know, because other than us finding it, we don't know, hey, maybe you got hydra, and it's like, oh, okay, you got hydra, it's easily fixed, and, we treat our tank. So, it's just a process of aquarium plants. But I don't personally like to dip the plants, because usually dipping plants will do more damage than not, and it's just not worth it, because I can treat any issues that come up. But I will say, what's up? I don't know. Is he over there? Is he over there? No? Because I didn't feel like cleaning up the table in the back room to stream. Anyway. So I don't like to dip, because sometimes dipping plants could harm them in the long run. But I will say, I recently watched this video, and this is actually a video that I put on the website with the disclaimer saying that, hey, there's always the possibility of these things happening. But this YouTuber, A Gamer's Wife, she's actually, I think, been in the stream a couple times. She did a really good video, and I have to give credit, like, it's a really good video, so I'm going to link that there. That video showcases bleach dipping versus alum, and what was the other one? She used copper, and alum does a fantastic job based on that video and the comparison that she did, and she did it in such a smart way. I really have to give credit to her. She did a really good job, and I'm surprised the video does not have more views than it does. And I like her style of videos. And for such a small creator, she's very good with her video editing and processing. So I think she's definitely somebody that stands out. But yeah, that video was perfect at showing the differences of what happens with it. And like the bleach dipping, it does kill snails immediately, and it will kill stuff like planaria and hydra and what's the other thing? Detritus worms and flatworms and possibly leeches. I've seen leeches before, believe it or not. I was like, how the hell did this survive? And sure enough, and that was a whole big issue. That was like a year ago though. So yeah, those things happen, but this video shows all the different things. Now bleach isn't the best thing. Alum dips are really good from what the video shows, but bleach dipping will kill like most of the live things that are on the plants. Can harm the plants if done for too long or the wrong type of plant, like that was demonstrated in the video. But she did a very good job, so I give her credit. If you're watching this, Gamer's Wife, A+ on that video. And also, I will say, Brett, when I get plants in for my personal tanks, I don't dip them either. I just deal with the issues when they come up. It's not a huge deal to me. Now that I went on a rant of dipping plants, let's see what everybody else is saying. Good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Most likely missed a lot. Nah, not really, Patricia, but welcome. I put some cherry shrimp in with my male beta. Big mistake. Yep, betas and shrimp do not go together well. Wild betas actually do well in sorority, so that's perfect. Hope you like Blackwater. I actually wanted to do a Blackwater, what was I going to do? A Blackwater Paludarium? Or Vivarium? What would it be? It was going to be like mostly water, but in like one of those tanks that have glass that raise up along the back and the sides. I think it's a vivarium. And I was going to do like a living wall on the back. I have the tank downstairs. I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been so busy. So busy. And like now that Nova's actually like doing things, I'm so not motivated to do much anymore other than like watch her and see like what she does. It's such a fascinating thing. I'm just like, she learned how to point. Or she learned how to do this thing or that thing, and it's just so cute. I'm just like, I don't want to do anything else. Critter says, any tips on selling aquatic plants for profit? Well, I will say, if you're trying to sell plants as like a full-time business, good luck. We are 2 years in. I still haven't paid myself anything. So good luck with that. But if you are a hobbyist, you could definitely make a lot of money on just selling like the extra plants that you have in your aquarium. So if you're looking to just make a couple bucks to maybe cover your expenses for like your aquarium, like say cover your fish food or your fertilizer, or maybe you want to upgrade a light and you need like maybe 150 bucks, you can definitely make some money just selling trimmings from your plants. What I would do is I would get fast growing plants, so stem plants that are really fast growing, like Rhotallas, Ludwigias are good ones. You could trim those up almost every week and have some new plants to sell them to beginners. Make packages. Say like, look, I have these 5 different plants. I'll throw them into a package and whatever, to make some extra bucks. If you're going to do it on a large scale, similar to what we have, it is going to be a lot of work. So I don't want to discourage anybody if that's what they're trying to do, but you got to realize I feel like the aquarium hobby right now is a bubble, and bubbles eventually pop. And over the last 4 years, maybe 5 years, there's been a huge kind of inversion or inversion, ascension. Let's go with ascension on the amount of hobbyists coming into the hobby, and people getting started in aquariums, and just the overall kind of thing that, you know, it's just getting out there more and more. Like more and more people are getting into it. It's being showed more and more places. Like I've seen stuff on Business Insider. I've seen stuff in where was it? A couple like websites that aren't aquarium related, but are bringing the planted aquarium hobby into it. And just like any bubble, all bubbles pop. So it's much, I relate it to the people that open up a vape shop. Vaping, for those that don't know, became a big thing. I wasn't into it at all, but I like watching trends and stuff. So I saw this happening. Vaping started catching on, and you saw vape shops at every single corner. At least in my area, when I would drive, I'd see like one vape shop drive like a mile down the road, another vape shop drive another mile down the road, another vape shop. So you have this huge saturation for supply because there's a lot of demand, and then eventually the demand starts to dwindle down because the fad and the hype around it kind of dies down. And now you look at it, and a lot of vape shops are closing because they got in for their year or two, made some money, and now they're not able to support themselves. So that's kind of what I feel like the aquarium hobby may be going through soon. I think there's still plenty of room to grow. I don't think we've reached market saturation yet, but I do think eventually there's going to be way too much supply and not enough demand, because I see everybody and their mother trying to sell aquarium goods, just not plants, but everything. Like I'm one of those people. I got into the hobby 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and I was in it for a year before I even decided to do anything. And like it was fun, and I'm like, there's a huge demand problem, and not enough supply. Let me start selling plants or whatever. So that's how I got into it. But you have like almost every day I see a new person. I'm gonna start selling aquarium plants, or I'm gonna start selling shrimp, or I'm gonna start selling this fish, and here's my website. I'm gonna start selling this. I'm like, eventually there's gonna be everybody selling stuff and nobody buying stuff because we're all gonna be owning our own business, kind of thing. So I think if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna sell anything aquarium related, and you're just doing it to make a little money to cover your hobby, by all means do it. But if you're going to invest a ton of money, build out a section in your house, or rent a space, or anything like that, really know your business model and really know the demand, because I don't think I do think in the next 2 to 3 years we're going to see people having issues, because there's going to be so many people selling stuff. So Tim says, I never thought of the growth of the hobby. I just wanted to fish when my gerbils passed. Aw. Yeah, I mean, the growth of the hobby, I've seen it it's very much increased. It's become more mainstream. Like, it's not super mainstream, don't get me wrong. There's tons of people that have no interest in aquariums. But more and more people are. You're starting to see them everywhere. And like, in businesses, like doctor's offices and dentist offices and all these places, car dealerships, they're starting to really, you're starting to see a lot of things that it's not just saltwater anymore. A lot of it's freshwater, and you see a lot more hobbyists coming in, as well as houseplants. Like, I didn't start keeping houseplants until a couple years ago too, so this is a new hobby of mine as well. But there's a huge thing, and eventually that rocket ship that's taken off is going to hit its peak, and it's going to come down, and only the established businesses are going to stand, or the foolish will stand as well. So really recommends. But yeah, it really depends. That's funny. I bought gerbils that lived in my aquarium when my fish died. Aw. Many moons ago, however. Yeah. See, furry critters. I like furry critters, but I don't like the short life expectancy on them. Like even my dogs. Like I'm dreading the day that my first dog Walter passes away. Like that's gonna be a heartbreak. I'm probably won't leave my house for a week, and you know, and dogs get like if they're lucky 10, 12 years. So he's already 6. You know, it's like damn, only got 6 years left with him if he's lucky. You know. That's why I don't like dealing with rodents and stuff because they only live like a year or two, and it like breaks my heart every time I lose an animal. Even the fish, I feel sorry when a fish dies. I'm like, damn. I just flung Sprite on my screen. What would you I can't speak. Would you recommend I dose your ferts in a small amount more often or large amounts less often? 40-gallon breeder, 30 or 3.0 CO2 injection, getting good results with less more often. You're probably better off because you're gonna get less algae dosing less amounts more often. So if you're one of those that can remember to dose every single day and you're gonna just dose maybe a quarter of the weekly or recommended dosage whenever it is, you're going to get better results because you're only going to put in a little bit of nutrients. The plants are going to absorb it. There's none for the algae to use to grow. So you're going to have the plants absorbing all of it versus if you do the 2 to 3 days recommended, or maybe you do it once a week and you just put in, whatever the max dosage. Now all those ferts are floating in the water and the plants aren't going to absorb them right away because they only absorb nutrients when the lights are on and when they're able to use those nutrients. So, yeah. Less more often if you can stay on top of it. Oh, it's almost time to go here. So I'll hang out for like another 5 minutes because we had some technical issues. Like I said, our next live stream will be the 26th, so that's the day after Christmas. My birthday's in 4 days, so that's awesome. I'm gonna be 30, which is crazy to think about. Big changes to the website, like I mentioned earlier in the first live stream that got broken. So stay on the lookout for that on the website. Reduced shipping, reduced threshold of shipping prices. The prices of the plants will slightly go up, but you're gonna, in the long run, every plant is going to cost you less than it would have previously. So that's a good thing. And yeah. So if nobody else has any questions. Oh, I also redid the website a little bit. And hopefully you guys like it. When you go to the website, when you look at aquarium plants, it's only specific to the aquarium plants because what I was realizing is when you go to aquarium plants, right, and you're looking at the aquarium plants, there were so many plants that were out of stock. And that's just because, like, there's plants that I get in, like, every once in a while. And there may be plants that maybe I was growing and don't grow anymore, or whatever the case is. So you would get to a page and there would be all these plants that are out of stock, and maybe like half the page, if you're lucky, has plants that are in stock. So you got all these. So I just made it super easy, and I made it so anytime a plant is out of stock, it just gets automatically removed from the aquarium plants. Like when you click on the only way to look up the plants that are out of stock is either going to the out of stock plants tab, which is at the bottom of the grow tab, or you search for the specific plant that you're looking for, and then it'll come up even if it's out of stock. And that way, I just feel that that's going to be best overall because, if you're just looking, if you're like, hey, I want to buy some plants, but, maybe it's just easier not having all these plants that are out of stock because then you're like, oh, well, I really want to order, but I want that plant, but maybe I won't have that plant in for 3 months. Who the hell knows, So I think I made it easy. I think I made it easier for people to kind of find what they're looking for. Tap Huzo says, "Hey, big fan here. Had a question. Have you had any amount of shrimp eat other amount of shrimp while molting? Mine just 3. Um, well, I'm guessing mine just did. No, I've never had that happen. That's strange. If you had that happen and have it on video, I'd love to see it. And how to recommend how to stop it? No, but I will say if your shrimp are eating other shrimp, you're probably not feeding enough. So I would feed the tank more because they're probably hungry, and that's why they're going after other shrimp, if that's the case. Or the shrimp could have had a bad molt. I forget what they call it. There's a term for it. Rob from Flip Aquatics would know. It's a why can't I remember it? It's something molt. Like the molt didn't go through, so they're stuck in their shell, and then they just die. So I like lower shipping for when you only want to buy a few small things. Also love the thing about out of stock plants. So thanks, Tim. Yeah. Yeah, so the lower shipping threshold I think will be good. I hope. See, my ideas for it is, okay, let's say we set the shipping at $40 for free shipping. Like, people are gonna be like, the people that were looking to spend maybe like $20, they go in, they're like, if I only spend $20 more, I save on shipping and I get more plants, so I might as well. So they spend $40. So in like the market, like from a business standpoint, it's good. Hey, maybe people spend more. Then the like bad side of it is, well, now that we lower the cost of shipping and we lower the free threshold, we're gonna get a bunch of people that are only ordering 1 or 2 items and just meeting that and not ordering more. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna try it out. It may change. I may decide to switch back to how it is in a month or 2 after I see how it goes, but we'll wait to see. Everything's trial and error. So, which lens do you use with your Asta 20 LEDs? I have one on a Denali Scapers tank. I use the default one that it came with. I didn't change it out, so I think it's a 180 degree one that it comes with or something. I don't know. I've been feeding spinach every day or every other day. She ate 2 males and 1 pregnant. It could have been botched. Is it botched molt? Maybe it's botched molt. They call it. That could be it. Not really sure. That would be a good question to ask Rob from Flip Aquatics, because he is the shrimp guru, and he could definitely answer those questions. I wish I knew. Although I did see one of my amount of shrimp died the other day. I thought it was molting, and sure enough, it turned pink the next day. I'm like, damn, really? Sucks when that happens. But it happens. Anyway, guys, it's about time. I'm gonna actually get going here. I'm gonna go work on the website changes that I've been trying to finish up here. Hope you all have a wonderful holiday. I'll answer this last question. How much of the Ultim Nature soil would you recommend for a 36-gallon bow front if you know the size? Depends on how deep you're going for, but I would order... I'm trying to think. 36. It's not as big as a 40. I want to say maybe like 2 or 3 bags. But I do have a calculations equation on the website that you could just kind of do the math for and figure out, based on the desired depth, what you need. So I would check that out. But yeah, guys, if I don't, I probably won't see you, but until after Christmas. But I hope you all have a good holiday. Like I said way earlier, our last shipment for the year is coming in this week, so we won't be getting any new plants until the second week of January. So if you're going to order plants, I would suggest ordering them now rather than ordering them after Christmas, because we're going to be very much out. And yeah, so I look forward to seeing you guys after Christmas. I hope you all have a wonderful week and weekend and the rest of the year. And I will see you guys on the 26th. Later.